Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Yoga with Jen. My name is Jen, and today's practice is about a 25-minute practice that emphasizes working with plank poses. We're going to work with modified side plank, traditional plank, as well as forearm plank. So for today's practice, you might want 2 blocks as well as maybe a blanket. And we're going to begin today's practice in the wide-kneed child's pose. So I will see you on your mat. For today's practice, we're going to begin in the wide-kneed child's pose. If you like to have the extra support of the blanket for beneath your knees, you can set a blanket across your mat. Slide your big toes together. Take your knees a little wide apart. And then begin to fold the body forward. The forehead can rest either directly onto the mat, or you can take the forehead and you can allow the forehead just to gently rest on the stacked palms. Just feeling a deep inhalation, draw into the body, expanding across the ribs, even the ribs on the back body. And feeling a deep, full, complete exhale. Deep inhalation, noticing the expansion of the body. Deep and full, complete exhalation. One more round of inhale and exhale. And then on your next inhalation, we're going to bring the body up to all fours, tabletop pose. So take your hands about as wide as your mat. You're going to take your knees underneath of the frontal hip points. Spreading through the fingers, inhale to release the belly down toward the floor, taking a cow tilt. Lift up through the center of the sternum. As you're exhaling, activate the hands down to the mat. Take the tailbone under, draw the belly in, and round through the back body. Inhale, allow the belly to release, taking a cow tilt, activating the hands, possibly with a gentle softening in the elbows as the heart pulls through. Exhale as you press your hands down into the mat. Take the tailbone, drawing it under, belly button drawing into the spine. And then one more time. Inhale, allow the belly to release down toward the floor, lift up through the heart. And then as you're exhaling, pressing into your hands, take your tailbone under, round through the back. And then let your next inhalation bring your spine into neutral. Just going to let the weight come into the right knee. Gaze is down at the mat. Take a breath in. Send your left leg up and back behind you. Reach out through the back of the left knee. Reach out through the crown of your head. Stay here. Or you can shift more weight into your left hand and then maybe bring your right arm, lifting it up, sending the right arm forward by the right ear. Take a deep inhale. As you're breathing out, really lightly coming down, right hand and then the left knee. As the left knee comes down to the mat, shift the weight into the left knee. Begin to extend out through the right leg, lifting the right leg away from the floor, extending through the back of the right knee. So the leg's about parallel to the floor. Steady the gaze, and then as you feel ready, you can stay there. You can shift more weight into your right hand and then maybe lift up through the left arm. So you reach out through the crown of the head, the lifted arm, the extended leg. One more deep inhalation. And as you're exhaling, let your left hand and your right knee come down lightly to the mat. So one more cow tilt here. So let the inhalation release the belly, light lift of the center chest bone. As you're exhaling, activate the balls of the feet into the mat and then allow your knees to lift so the hips start to come up. Downward facing dog. So staying really rooted and active through your hands, but then walking out a bit through the feet just to bring some stretch and elongation up through the backs of the legs. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. All right, so in your downward facing dog, you're going to let the weight start to come into the left ball of the foot. So you can allow your left knee to slightly bend, and you're going to breathe in, send your right heel up into down dog split. So it's just a real light lift of the right leg, right heel. As you're exhaling, curl your right knee into your chest. Draw the hips up a little bit higher, and then step the right foot through near your right wrist. And then just lightly take the back left knee down to the mat, coming into the low lunge. Then you're going to stabilize through your legs and your feet. Breathe in. Let your body start to rise up. You can start to take your arms, sweep your arms up and along the sides of the face. And at the top, let your prayer hands come together and just breathe out. Let your prayer hands come down through the midline of the body, through the center of the heart. And let's take that again. So deep breath in. Let your arms begin to circle out to the sides. Reach the arms up by the sides of the face. Prayer hands coming together. Breathing out, draw the prayer hands down through the midline of your body into your heart. And then one last time, take a deep breath in. Let your arms sweep out to the side. Light rise through the waist and the spine. Prayer hands come together. Bring the prayer hands through the heart. Let your hands come down to frame your right foot. Lift the back left knee away from the floor. Now the left hand can stay on the mat, or you can catch hold of a block, possibly supporting the left hand to the block as you bring your right hand to your right hip and then start to turn through the belly and through the heart, taking a revolved high lunge. So be mindful, we're twisting to the right. So sometimes the left shoulder will also pull to the right. So we want to see if we can keep the left shoulder stable while rotating through the belly and the ribs. So think about this pose as a preparatory pose for the side plank position. And when we balance in side plank pose, we don't want the shoulder to draw forward. So one more deep breath in. As you're exhaling, let your right hand come down, remove the block if you were using the block, and then step your right foot back into down dog. Now in the downward facing dog, take a deep breath in, and then as you're exhaling, let your knees come down into tabletop. Lift up the right knee about 1 inch away from the floor. Turn the right leg to the right so that the right foot lands off the mat. Modified side plank pose. So ground through your right hand, extend through your left knee, inner edge of the foot, meeting the floor as the left hand draws to the hip. Now draw the pubic bone up toward the belly button and then use the engagement of the lower belly to begin to lift up through the left leg. Now you can stay here if you want a stronger opening across the front left hip. Begin to let your left knee bend and feel like your left foot is moving to the wall or whatever is behind you. You can stay here or take your left hand, catch hold of your left front ankle, and then press the ankle into the hand as you take this modified side plank with a bind. Take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. Deep inhale, we're going to send the left leg back out. Reach the left arm up toward the sky. Exhale, lower the left hand. Lower the left knee, bring the body back to the center. Inhale, release the belly down to the floor. Lift up through the center of the heart. Exhale, ground into the balls of the feet. Float your knees up into the air. Take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. Grounding the weight into the right ball of the foot, maybe softening just a bit through the right knee, and then you can breathe in. Send your left heel up to the sky, down dog split. Now as you exhale, curl your left knee into your chest, take your hips up just a bit higher and lightly step the left foot through. Take the back right knee down to the mat, stabilizing downward through your legs and your feet as you rise up, shoulders over the hips. Take your breath in, let your arms sweep up and along the sides of the face, prayer hands coming together over the heart, and then drawing your prayer hands down into the center of the chest. Take a deep breath in. Again, circle sweeping your arms. Reach the arms up by the sides of the face. Feel a sense of lightness up through the crown of the head. Prayer hands join and draw down into the heart. Last one, take a breath in. Let your arms sweep out to the side, rising upward. Prayer hands coming together. Draw the prayer hands down through the heart. Let your hands come down to frame your front foot. Lift your right knee away from the floor. Right hand on the mat. You can slide the block beneath your right hand and then take your left hand to your left hip. You're going to start to turn through the belly and the ribs. Now be mindful not to let the bottom right shoulder draw forward. So I'm going to stabilize through the right hand and the shoulder while twisting through the belly, through the ribs, and feeling the chest turn toward the left side of the room. Take one more deep breath in, reach long out through the crown of your head, and then as you're exhaling, let your left hand come down, slide the block forward, and then take your left foot and step the left foot back into downward dog. Okay, now here in the center, take a breath in, and then as you exhale, let your knees come down into tabletop. Now pick up the left knee, move the left foot off to the left for modified side plank. So ground into your left hand, extend out through your right knee, let your right hand start to come up to your right hip so the pubic bone energizes upward a bit toward the navel. Engaging through the low belly, float the right foot away from the floor. Now you can stay right here, or for a stronger opening across the front right hip, allow your right knee to bend, and then think of moving the right foot to whatever's behind you, maybe staying there, taking your right hand to catch hold of the front of the right ankle. So the ankle will activate slightly into the hand, so it almost feels like the Dhanurasana bow pose. This opening through the front plane of the body, through your right hip area, even through your throat. Take a last exhale. Then with your breath in, you can reach out through your right knee and your right arm. Exhale, let everything come to the center. Right hand, right knee come down. Inhale, ground through your hands. Let your belly release toward the floor. Exhale, downward facing dog. Taking a moment here, deep inhale. Deep exhale. Ground the weight into the left ball of the foot. Allow the left knee to bend slightly. Inhale, send your right heel up, down dog split. Exhale, scoop the right knee in toward the chest. Lightly step the right foot through. Take the back left knee down. Inhale as you sweep the arms out to the side. Rise them up and along the sides of your face. Prayer hands come through the heart one time. As the hands come down, let the hands come apart. Frame your front right foot. Lift your back left knee away from the floor. Revolved high lunge, so left hand on the mat or supported by a block. Let your right hand come to your right hip. Stay here. You can bring your right hand to the front chest, right front chest, and maybe expand the right arm up to the sky, just getting a little more of an expansive feel through the chest and the arms. One more breath in. Okay, as you're exhaling, you're going to allow your right hand to come down. You can move the block forward, step your right foot back. Now you can repeat the modified side plank pose by coming to the knees and balancing on the right hand. Otherwise, in down dog, you're going to start to shift your heels to the right. As more weight begins transitioning into your right hand, you can spin to the outer edge of your right foot. And then allow the inner edge of your left foot to come to connect. So you have this side plank pose there, left hand to the left hip or stretching it up. similar to what we did in the revolved high lunge. Press through the left palm, activate through the fingers. Take a breath in. As you begin to exhale, soften your knees a bit so that you can easily transition left hand to the mat, and then spin the hips back up, downward facing dog. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Grounding now into the right ball of the foot, a little softness through the right knee. Inhale, send your left heel up. Down dog split, and then as you exhale, curl your left knee in toward your chest, send your hips a little higher, lightly step your left foot through. Take your back right knee down to the mat, stabilize through the legs and feet. Inhale, circle sweep your arms, rise your arms up and along the sides of your face. Prayer hands come together one time, draw the prayer hands down through the heart space. Let your hands come down to frame your left foot, lift your right knee. Right hand to the mat or to a block. Left knee over the left ankle. Slide the left hand to the hip and begin to rotate through the belly, through the ribs. Hand can stay on the hip, or you can bring your left hand to your left side chest. Maybe stretch the arm up toward the sky. So the right hand feels grounded, but you also want to ground down into the hand in a way that it helps you to feel light up through the rest of the body and through the left arm. Take one more breath in. As you exhale, bring your left hand down, slide the block forward, step the left foot back into downward dog. Now here you can always lower your knees and repeat the modified plank pose. Otherwise, we're going to start to spin the heels to the left. As that happens, more weight coming into the left hand, outer edge of the foot coming down to the mat. You can pick up your right foot and then bring your inner edges of your feet together. Contracting the underneath left side of the body to stabilize the pose, right hand to the hip, or sending the right arm up into the sky, side plank pose, spreading through your left fingers, press through your right palm and spread through your right hand. Take one more deep breath in. As you're exhaling, a little bit of a softening in your knees so that your right hand can easily come down, spinning your hips back to the center, downward facing dog. Taking a deep inhale. Deep exhale. As you breathe in, you're going to shift the hips out, coming into the plank pose. Reach out long through the crown of the head. Your knees can be up, or you can lower them to the modified plank pose. As you exhale, begin to let your elbows bend. If your knees are lifted, start to shift toward the tips of the toes as you bring the body down. Tops of the feet coming to the floor. Ground into your feet. Take your tailbone down. Inhale, curling your body up into the cobra position. And then exhale, lift the hips back up and back, downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale. Deep exhale. One more time. Inhale, shift your hips out. Plank pose, the knees up or the knees down, modified plank pose. As you're exhaling, begin to shift more toward the tips of the toes as you bend the elbows lower to the mat. Tops of the feet coming down, curling up, lift up through the shoulder blades, lift through the heart, and then as you exhale, take your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Deep inhale. Deep exhale. Reach out long through the crown of your head. Take one more breath in and one more breath out. You're going to lightly take your knees down to the tabletop position, coming down onto the elbows and the forearms so that the hands can either come together in the prayer position or you can interlock your hands. We're going to come into the modified forearm plank by walking the knees back a bit so that they are not directly underneath of the hips. More of like a diagonal from your hip points through your thighs, through your knees. Press into the forearms a bit. Now you can stay here. Reach out long through the crown of your head, or if you like, you can press into the balls of the feet. And then let your knees float away from the floor. So forearm plank pose. So press into the elbows and the forearms. But if you do that, you might get a lot of rounding in your back. So you might see if you can keep the press of the elbows and the forearms, but then almost have the sensation that the sternum almost melts a little bit down toward the floor. And then chin comes in, crown of the head reaches out. One more breath in. As you're exhaling, if your knees are up, take your knees down to the mat. You can let your thighs come down to the floor. Bring your chest down to the floor. Stack your palms. Rest your forehead on your stacked palms for a moment. You can bend your knees. Draw the heels in toward the buttocks. And then take the sway of the legs from side to side. Okay, and then let the tops of your feet come back down to the mat. Sliding your hands underneath of the lower chest, upper ribs, pressing up through table, all fours. So you can take your blanket, if it's across your mat, and maybe just fold it up 1 to 2 times so that you can use it to support your hips as you come to simple seat. As you arrive here, simple seat with the legs, just simple cross leg, just take a big breath in, let your arms reach up. As you exhale, left hand is going to come down to the mat. Just go and walk your left hand out a little bit so that you can start to come into a seated side stretch. Ground down through your right hip. Take the tailbone slightly down, allowing your left forearm and elbow to come toward the floor as you reach through the right side body. Take a breath in, and then you rise up through the center. Take your right hand back behind your right hip. Take a simple spinal twist. So just real gentle here as the left arm draws across the body. Take the heart, turning the heart gently toward the right, but then take the chin and turn the chin out toward the left shoulder. All right, breathing in, come back through the center. Let's take those 2 poses on the second side. So exhale, right hand coming down, the hands walking out, lean over to the right. Deep breath in. And deep exhale. Let your next inhalation carry the body back to the center. Shoulders over the hips, reaching and lengthening up long through the palms and fingertips. Exhale, take your left hand back behind your hip, right arm reaching across your body, landing on your left thigh. So it's a very gentle twist of the heart to the left, but then turning the chin toward the right shoulder. Deep breath in. And last breath out here. Okay, so you're inhaling, you're going to let your body come back around to the center. Let your arms reach and lengthen by the sides of your face. And then your prayer hands can come together, sliding your prayer hands down through the heart space, taking the chin just ever so slightly toward the chest, and then letting your hands come down to your thighs, palms facing up. Chin just slightly like below, parallel to the floor, so that the back of the neck is long, eyes softly closed. Take a moment here just to tune into the pulse and the rhythm of your own breath. If time permits for you, you can stay seated in meditation or take some time in Shavasana. If you're transitioning from your mat, you can place your hands together at your heart, press your palms together. The light within me bows to that same light that exists within you. Namaste.